Big day on the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast, the final show of the 2025 offseason. It's our last one. We finally made it to the end. Football is right around the corner. Week 0 gets kicked off here in just a couple of days. The Ohio State Week 1 is just 9 short days away. Anthony Moeglin hanging out with my partner, Kevin Woidke, here as we put a bow here on this offseason. But yeah, before we get into any Buckeye talk, there hasn't been much lately. I think everyone's really chomping at the bit to get to the season. But tonight, high school football, dude. You're going to a high school football game, first one of the year. The Ignatius Wildcats getting the season kicked off, man. Football is finally in the air, and there's going to be actual games being played here. It's just freaking awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. Going out to Avon High School for a quick Thursday night showdown. Got the best of us last year, so hopefully we can win this year, but we'll see. I don't know much about this team. I don't know much about this team.
Okay, we don't know much about them. We need Ignatius to get back to relevance here. We need the boys, we need the Cats to get back to what they once were when you were there.
Walsh has one good year, and we're talking about my team being relevant. All right, let's settle down.
I love it, man. Let's go. It's football season. If you're in Northeast Ohio, this is the best time of the year. High schools are getting kicked off, and college football is right around the corner. Now, Kevin, we didn't really talk about this, and I kind of do want to – I am kind of putting you on the spot here, but I want to give you the floor for just a quick second because this is the leading story of our show today as Jeremiah Smith joined Urban Meyer on his the Triple Threat podcast. And there's a clip about his kind of feelings towards the team up north. Now, Kev, you and I haven't talked about the I guess results of the cheating scandal as the hammer, if you will, maybe not so much a hammer, came down on the Michigan Wolverines. So I'll give you the floor here to kind of pop off on that for just a little bit because I in my opinion, the punishment that they got for all of this madness was hardly a punishment at all.
Yeah, the NCAA doesn't have any teeth anymore. That's what it comes down to. The NCAA is powerless. You're never going to get a sanction like Louisville got, like SMU got. You'll never get it. Like no one else in the country. Like you talk to people around the country and they're like, no. Like everyone cheats in recruiting.
Yeah.
How it is. That's why nobody goes at each other for it. Every school in the country is upset about this ruling because it shows that all it does is cost $30 million to win a national championship if you want to. Like, and I'm telling you right now, Texas A&M will pay that money. Florida State will pay that money. If it means all it's going to cost just $30 million, I mean, they'll do it. They'll figure it out. They get fined $30 million. All they need to find is 3 boosters that are willing to put in $10 million for a national championship. I know a lot of people that would pay that kind of money if they had it. I mean, most of those people don't have that kind of money. But, like, I think it just shows how little teeth the NCAA has anymore, that if they came down with something bigger, the Big Ten and the SEC would just spin off and do their own thing, maybe grab some ACC and some Big 12 schools while they're at it, the competitive ones, and be like, hey, here's our new thing. Oh, my gosh, we have 32 teams. Well, I don't even know how many are in the Big Ten and SEC right now, but, like, let's say it's 30. Get 15 more teams in there and get 15 – or no, let's do 16 more teams. Get 2 conferences of 23 teams, play it out. Like, I mean, that's really what it is, and that's what's frustrating. But I think it just shows how little they could have put a postseason ban. They could have done a lot worse to Michigan, but they just don't have any power anymore. They're a wet noodle.
That's the perfect way to describe it. And it's just such an interesting, take the rivalry part out of it. It's a fascinating case study of like where the world of college football has gone because like you said, they can't really do anything in Michigan, whether we like it or not as Ohio State people is one of the bigger brands in college football. And you're going to tell Fox, one of your biggest TV partners, you're going to tell the Big Ten that you're going to take one of the biggest brands and say you're ineligible to play in postseason ball, and we're going to give you the death penalty, if you will, that Miami or some of these other teams have gotten in the past. And it's just like unrealistic because the almighty dollar's talking. Now, the flip side of it is, hey, we're going to find you $20 million and you're not going to get to take in, the postseason revenue or whatever. Okay, call a donor tomorrow. That money's back in the program immediately. And like you said, you look at some of these Texas teams. You look at Texas Tech. I mean, their biggest booster is a billionaire, multi-billionaire, right? And it's like,
right.
If that's all it takes, where's the check? They'll sign that thing in a second, man.
Right. Like, that's just what it is. Like, the only saving grace that came out of this whole thing is it proved that they cheated. And in doing so, it took the shine out of being a Michigan man. It took the shine out of, we are the top tier, we're the epitome of class when it comes to this sport. That's what they always used to say. Ohio State's classless. They cheat, they do this, they do that. They're not an academic. They don't have any academic standards. I mean, this takes all that weight out. Their reputation is tarnished for almost ever. Like, this will be on par with SMU. When you think of SMU, like it just will be. Like, you think of Michigan basketball, you think of the Fab Five. You don't think of, you don't think of the great players that have been there since. This is a huge mark on that school's reputation. And if they're fine with dealing with it, fine. But they no longer hold a candle when they're like, oh, we are Michigan men. We are this, we are that. Like you don't. I'm sorry. Like, no one else in the country. I mean, I didn't respect it to begin with, but a lot more people around the country are realizing that, these guys aren't as classy and buttoned up as they claim to be.
They claim to be, man, and it is, that's going to be their reputation here moving forward. So, we're not going to dive into all the details of it, but it is just it's a crazy world where they're in, because you're right, dude. It's like, all right, you start punishing teams for anything. The big dogs are just going to split off and say, screw all this. We're just going to go play in our own league and do our own thing. So we'll see how it continues to shake out. But like you said, hey, the price tag for a championship now is set. The precedent is set at $20 million. Who's going to be the next one to kind of violate all? Now, what I will say, the positive part about it is that saga is done with, right?
Yeah.
At least there's an end to it. And now we can get back to football. So our top story of the day, Jeremiah Smith, obviously Ohio State fan, everybody in the country knows what he is. Now, on the field, he's incredible. It was really cool to see kind of his reaction to a question he was asked by former head coach Urban Meyer about the team up north. We'll play this clip, then react to it here on the other side.
The team up north, what hit your heart?
Hate. With everything in me, I hate them.
How did you learn that? How did you learn that?
Were you not there at the last game?
Yeah, I hate them. You said when I learned that, high school recruiting, first came in, I think I made a mistake and I was wearing like dark blue.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, I was wearing dark. And it was Coach Hartline and Coach Keenan Bailey. And it was like, you can't wear them colors here. And then from that day forward, I was like, okay, yeah, it's real.
Yeah, this is a good clip there, and it's kind of funny. When he said he was wearing dark blue on his recruiting trip, and Urban Meyer was like, "Uh-oh, like that's a no-no." It's cool, man, to see kind of the hatred get back into this. Let's get this thing back to football, and let's get these freaking Buckeyes this year to get locked in on. Hey, when that game rolls around, it's time to get back in the win column.
Yeah, I mean they got a lot of these guys got their national championship. I mean, Coach Day got it like that. This is it, and that's the only way to describe how you feel. If it's not in recruiting, it's within your first 2 days on campus. Like, they hammer it into you. They know what this rivalry means. It's frustrating to say that it's gone. I mean, the way it has, because it is. I mean, the first 2 years. I mean, the 2021, 2022. I watched those. Like, 23, they beat us, and 24, they beat us. Like, they've won the last two. Like, two before that, like, if you would have told CJ Stroud or any of those guys back then that, hey, you can't make a signal, they probably wouldn't have. If they knew what was happening, they would have structured it better. But they didn't. And that's just the reality, because that CJ Stroud team that almost won a national championship was as talented as you'll find.
Yeah.
And that's why they needed this, and as they call it, KGB, to get to go out and go to 30 games, go buy tickets to 30 games and videotape it. Like, coaches talk. I'll be the first one to tell you, like, when a game is finished playing, the first thing you do is call the opposing coach and you talk about future opponents that both of you have played. Now, if you have someone that can read signals from the booth, write it down, relay it, and then tell it to the next coach, that's different. That's just the cost of playing the game. That's the cost of doing signals. But there's a difference between that and videotaping it yourself, because coaches aren't really inclined to do that. They're not paying attention to the signals so that they can help other teams win. That's where the difference is. And these guys, I think it's hatred on both ends. No matter how much they want to say they don't hate it, it got to a point where they had to cheat to win. So they hate it too. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason it's called the game, and you see all the hype tapes every year. You play in that game, you walk down that tunnel, that long-ass tunnel, and you're like, you're so close to wall. That fight that happened in 2013 or 12 or 13, I think it was 13. Yeah. 2013 or 2014. With Mike Hall walking out of the stadium, like that shows how much hate they tried to fight each other before the game at kickoff. I mean, that just shows. Like, and then it boiled over in this last one. They were dancing around on the field. Like, we always we hate them, but we respect the rivalry. But we're not going to dance. We're not going to do what Devin Bush did and grind up the logo on midfield. Like, we're going to come in, we're going to win the game, we're going to sing our alma mater, celebrate with our fans, and go home. We're not going to disrespect anybody, which we kind of do. We rip down the tarp. I mean, it ebbs and flows. But Coach Meyer always taught us respect the rivalry. It's the first thing you need to do, because the minute you don't is the minute you give them bulletin board material for the rest of their tenure.
Yeah, there's you can't say it any better than that. You know, spoken like as a true former Buckeye there, and it's cool to see. Like, it's cool to hear that from Jeremiah, obviously the leader of this team, the leader of this offense, and knowing that, hey, that's his mindset. That's the best player in the country. That's his mindset going into it. And I know he's pissed off too, because they just feature him a little bit more. That game probably goes a lot differently last November. So definitely excited for that. But that is a long way away, that the next iteration of the game. And it'll be fun to have that rivalry back in our lives. And we're so close to just kind of all of this stuff getting back into action. So, Kev, as we put a bow on the preseason here, the offseason, if you will. I thought it'd be fun to kind of go around for you and I and kind of predict the Big Ten. There's obviously 18 teams now in the Big Ten with the infusion of all of the Pac-12 schools, but it's again going to be just absolutely a murderer's row of teams in the Big Ten. And it's going to be potentially the national championship is going to come from the Big Ten for the third straight year. Obviously, we're all hoping it's Ohio State, but it could be Penn State. Could it be Oregon? Could Michigan sneak back into that conversation? What is it all going to look like here? So, Kev, I'll give you kind of the start of it, and we'll just go with one list. We won't go back and forth, but we'll go from the bottom to the top. And I think for us, right, the bottom five, or at least the bottom couple teams, we don't got to spend a bunch of time on them, but it's going to be Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland. You look at those teams a little bit. You look at Purdue, especially Northwestern, both in just like severe rebuild modes. And, in this kind of day and age, it's really hard to get out of those rebuild modes, right? If you can't really invest a ton of money, it's hard to get some of those big time guys. So, kind of at the bottom in that cellar, those three teams kind of get it started. Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland, I think they're going to finish somewhere in that 18 to 16 range there at the bottom.
No, I agree. Maryland always has some sneaky wins that come out of nowhere, but for the most part, I mean, I think Purdue and Northwestern are at the bottom. I think Northwestern is trying to rebuild, but they're going to be in a tough spot forever because they have those academic standards, and it's harder. I'll tell you right now, it's harder for people that have been around football at this level. A lot of these young guys are not. They know they're going to play Division I football. They don't care about school anymore. Like, they're looking at some schools where it's like, hey, here's $3 million to play football. Why would I focus on extra school when I could be doing extra work after to make myself worth that much money? Like that. That's where their mind goes, and it's sad that that's where it's gotten to, but that's the reality of it.
It's true. I mean, the joke was when Cardale Jones said it years ago, like, I didn't come here to play school. Like, that's a real that's a real thing, and especially these guys at the top, like they didn't come here to play school. School ain't going to pay their bills one day. Guess what? Football's not going to pay my bills. School isn't going to pay their bills. So
Right.
you certainly get that. Now, Kev, as we kind of get up the board here, there's going to start to be some names here that are lower a little bit that I think are going to have tough years, right? The first one up is Michigan State. Now, Michigan State, Kev, have them kind of ranked at the number 15 spot here in the Big Ten. What do they have to do to turn this thing around? How can they get back to relevance? Because back when you played, back in the day, you can think back to the Kirk Cousins days, Connor Cook days, all those things. They were good. They've just totally lost the plot. And how do they get back to relevance here as they're staring down another tough season here in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I think Michigan still have a better year. They lost a couple of close games last year. Like, they gave us a little bit of a fit. I mean, not a little bit, not so much.
A little bit. Early for sure.
Yeah. So I think they have a good team. They just got to build up on it. Like, I mean, that's just the reality of it. I think they're better than UCLA. I think they're better than Rutgers. I think they're better than Minnesota. I think they're better than Washington. If I'm going to put them, I think the line that I draw them at is below the Wisconsin, Nebraska, USC, Iowa bubble.
Yeah.
I put them at the top of that first bubble of Washington. If you were to put it in different tiers, I put them at the top of the tier of Michigan State, UCLA, Rutgers, Minnesota, Washington.
Yeah, kind of flip those around. And it's just like when Michigan State's good, I mean, obviously going to East Lansing in the past has been a challenging place, right? But in the recent history, right, we go there last year and just kind of roll over them and make quick and easy work of them, which you're supposed to do. But getting that team, getting that brand back into the conversation is going to be interesting. Maybe they're a couple of years off, but again, when you kind of find yourself in that cellar and you're not in those, that upper echelon of teams, really challenging in this day and age to get back to that. Next up, Kev, I want to take a look, go out west. Let's talk about UCLA for a quick second. They're going to make a trip to Columbus in November. Is it November? I forget the actual date of it. I have it pulled up here.
I think it's November. Yeah,
November 15th. Gotta trust your gut. November 15th, they make a trip to Columbus. It's going to be a really fun new team that comes into the shoe, led by Nico Iamaleava. Not specifically, Kev, about that game against us, but any outlook, any promise for UCLA? I know, man. It's that's another program where you're like, hey, you should have everything. You're in LA, for God's sakes. Like, it's a beautiful campus. You're playing at the Rose Bowl every week.
right.
That's a team that could get back to, hey, let's be competitive and do so in the Big Ten.
No, yeah, I think they are a very. I think they have a chance. I don't see them with much teeth. I think they've lost more than they've gained in the transfer portal. I don't think Nico had his problems last year where he was a freshman. If he doesn't improve, and it didn't seem like he really was as the year went on, his defense kind of carried him through to that playoff. I don't see UCLA having that same effect of where he's getting his defense to carry him through.
Yeah. It's spot on, man. And that Tennessee run game was great. He obviously had great, in my opinion. I know Josh Heupel, the coaching thing goes back and forth. I think he's a good coach, but he had a kind of a perfect situation. He didn't play well for most of the year. He got a lot of hype, but we saw firsthand kind of what that was when he showed up in the horseshoe and kind of got pushed around a little bit. Now, next up, Kev, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Greg Schiano, always a tough coach, going out to to New York. They're still at the bottom of the projection of the Big Ten. Is that a team that you think, like, hey, they could start to turn a corner? They're not on our schedule this year, so we won't be facing them. Actually, that's not true. We play them the week before Michigan, so they get tucked in there right at the end there. Do you think by the time November 22nd rolls around that the Rutgers Scarlet Knights are going to be relevant, or you think that they're going to have another down year under Greg Schiano?
No, I mean, I loved Coach Schiano. He was great, but no, I don't think they're really going to be back anytime soon. the days of having those like crazy one-off, like that really good player are dead, because that was when you would find a diamond in the rough in the recruiting world when the internet didn't exist. But now these teams have people that sift through hours and hours of footage from everybody that's posting online, and it's impossible to miss a guy that like dominated. Like you saw at those schools like BYU, like Hawaii, like Rutgers in the early 2000s, because it was all about talking to the right coach and seeing the right player.
And nowadays too, right? You get a good player, he's gone next year because he pops off at Rutgers, and guess what? He's now a Texas Tech Red Raider or a Ohio State Buckeye, and that's just the reality of the situation. All right, we're going to skip over Minnesota. We're going to talk about them in a little bit, but a team that I'm very interested in is the Wisconsin Badgers. Obviously, Luke Fickell, former Buckeyes, the head coach. This schedule they've got, dude, like they should have a good team. They have to kind of be good to keep Fickell and his staff around. But on this schedule, they go Miami, Ohio, Middle Tennessee. Okay, that's weeks 1 and 2. Then they go Alabama, Maryland. Then they go Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota. Like that stretch of football games is insane. That is an insane stretch of football games that they have to play.
Yeah, no, that's I do not envy them one bit. That's a gauntlet and a half, and props to Coach Fickell for where he's gotten Wisconsin to at this point. Another former coach of mine, but it'll be hard for them to fight their way through that onslaught of teams.
Dude, it's an insane schedule. It's absolutely nuts, especially with Alabama kind of looped in there, and not kind of looped in there. I mean, right away, September 13th. I mean, shoot, that's in 3 weeks here that they're going to be playing them. But yeah, man, that's a really hard schedule. I think it's going to be a tough team, and obviously Ohio State goes to Madison in the middle of October. And that game's going to be incredible, but Wisconsin's like that environment could be cool, but Wisconsin as a team, could be kind of out of it. Now you take that schedule, Kev, and you juxtapose it to Nebraska's schedule. Now listen to this one. So Nebraska opens up with Cincinnati a week from tonight. And that one will be cool. That'll be a cool environment. They're playing it at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Why they're playing it in Kansas City, couldn't tell you, but they are. And then they go against Akron and then HCU. Never heard of HCU. So there's a world where they're 3-0. And then their Big Ten schedule is Michigan. It's going to be a tough game. Then they go Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, Penn State, and then Iowa. Those two, we just talked about Wisconsin having an incredibly hard schedule. Nebraska, on the other hand, may have the fool's gold where maybe not the most talented team and maybe not the best team, but you have a good enough quarterback and your schedule is a little bit on the lighter side. They could rip off a handful of wins and be in contention by the time November 22nd rolls around, and they're playing Penn State in Happy Valley for a potential spot somewhere in a playoff conversation.
Right. Like, this is similar to Indiana last year. It's the best.
Yeah, good call.
Like they have a great schedule. They have a great year, and with Matt Rule at head coach, this is similar to when Baylor made their run when he was their head coach before. Like, this is a team that could surprise a lot of people.
Yeah. There's no question about it. I love that comparison where, that could be one where they rip off a handful of wins. And don't be surprised come October, come November, where you see that block end in some of those playoff conversations and certainly in the Big Ten championship conversation, just with the way that their schedule lays out here. So, all right, I want to go out west real quick. You get the dealer's choice here. Either talk about USC or Washington. I think there's going to be it's a big year for both of them. And USC, Lincoln Riley's got to get this thing going in the right direction. But Washington, the same, right? They lose Kalen DeBoer 2 years ago. Last year was kind of a wash, just kind of resetting that roster. Ohio State goes out to Washington early in the year, back at the end of September. No USC on the schedule this year for Ohio State, but both of those teams out west, man, have a hard road to climb to get back into their winning ways that they've become accustomed to.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that it was. I wish I could tell you USC is going to be back. They just aren't. I don't think they're a good football team. I don't think Lincoln Riley's a good coach. Like, I mean, he was at Oklahoma for long enough for people to realize, maybe not the right guy, and then jumps over to USC where he gets to reset and be like, well, I don't know my guys. Like I just don't see them being good. They have so much. I mean, there's California companies that are donating to Ohio State, not to USC for NIL stuff, and that's just the reality of how it goes. Like that's just do they have the bodies? No. Do they have the money? Absolutely. Will they figure out the coaching? Who knows?
Dude, that's got to be the hardest thing, man, because you're dead set in the heart of LA, right? There's more money than you know what to do with out there. How they can't field a team and get a quarterback, other than Caleb Williams was their best quarterback, and since Lincoln Riley's time, obviously he came with him from Oklahoma. But there's no excuse. Like this is a group where you talk about a Maryland or a Michigan State where they may never be able to get out of the bottom, especially in football. USC should never be outside of the top 3 teams in whatever conference they're in, whether it's the Big Ten, the Pac-12, whatever. They should be in the playoff every single year. And there feels like they're so far from it. They're so far from relevance. And it's like one of those teams where it's like, all right, Lincoln, it better work soon, man, because there's a handful of teams in here that coaches that may find themselves on a hot seat here at the end of September, end of October. Lincoln Riley is possibly one of them, man, where it's like you got to get this thing going in the right direction, and it's a big year for him. So that's kind of the bottom, I would say, the bottom half, maybe the bottom 2/3 of the Big Ten. Now, getting to the top tier, in my opinion, is where we're going to go next, and then you get back into some of the traditional, the old school Big Ten teams. The first one's Indiana. I know you've got some strong opinions on Indiana, on Kurt Cignetti, especially after last year kind of being a little bit fraudulent. Do they carry that over into next season, or do they prove that, hey, what we had last year wasn't fool's gold, and this can be a sustainable we've built a sustainable program here.
Sorry, I don't know who their schedule is this year. I'm pulling it up right now.
I promise it's not going to be as easy as they had it last year. I know it's set up, and I think that what you said just a little bit ago, was dead right when we were talking about Nebraska. But for Indiana, they opened this thing up with Old Dominion, then they play Kennesaw State, and then Indiana State. So they take the SEC approach to their non-conference. And Cignetti talked about that at Big Ten Media Days. He's like, hey, if we're going to have to play 8 games in the conference, like I'm not going to test it outside of the conference because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter as long as I can win my conference and get in. That's all good. But they play Illinois, who we haven't talked about yet. Illinois should be fairly solid. Iowa's always going to be tough. Then Oregon, then Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, tough. Wisconsin, potentially tough. And then Purdue to end it. So I'd say that their schedule's middle of the road. They got some big games that they're going to have to navigate through.
And take their 3 wins. Excuse me. Take their 3 wins. Illinois, probably a 4th win. Iowa, probably a 5th win. Oregon, a loss.
5-1.
Michigan State, toss-up, probably wins. They're 6-1 going into UCLA, 7-1 going into Maryland, 8-1 going into Penn State, and then they probably go 8-2. Then I go 8-2 against Penn State, 8-3 against Wisconsin, 9-3 is what I'm expecting their schedule to be, and that's barring any injuries. That's just they did lose a lot. They brought in a lot of people last year that were a lot on the older side. Like they were last chance. They're what UNLV is trying to do this year. Yeah, they're bringing in all these former recruits. UNLV is trying to do it with people that were 4 and 5 stars that didn't play at their respective colleges that were quote unquote dud recruits. Like that's what. But what Indiana did is they took the stars from the mid-conferences and created the super team, which worked until they went up against a real team. And that's what happened. They lost to Ohio State. They got embarrassed by Notre Dame. That's just how it went down.
Yeah. And I think their floor is 9-3 after kind of talking through that. Their floor 9-3, their ceiling probably 10-2, right? That they're at home or they're on the road against both Penn State and Oregon. So even if those were home games, they're still tough to win. Damn near impossible to win on the road against those two teams. And then you kind of flip that Wisconsin game up in the air, see what happens. You win that game, you're 10-2. You're probably still in the conversation. You're probably in a very similar spot as you were last year. But hey, you keep that thing rolling. I think Indiana, as we talk through that schedule, is going to be relevant again next season. All right, next up, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Very interesting again with Iowa. And I thought it was really funny. Kirk Ferentz at Big Ten Media Days just talked about how he'll never have a team. He's very upfront about Iowa never having a team that can compete on the level of the Penn States, the Ohio States. They kind of got to get lucky when they play them. But their schedule lays out decently. There you go, against Albany, which should be a win. Then you have a rivalry against Iowa State. That's going to be a tough game. Iowa State is a very, very good team this year. Then they play UMass. And then their Big Ten schedule is Rutgers, Indiana, Wisconsin, Penn State, Minnesota, Oregon, USC, Michigan State, and Nebraska. That's a pretty tough schedule for a team that's everything. Feels like every Saturday when Iowa plays, everything has to go right for them. And that's a tough schedule to get all your ducks in a row and line up on each and every Saturday.
Yeah, I got nothing to really say about Iowa. I think they'll be terrible on offense again, and I think they'll be decent on defense.
Who they have? Did you see the clip of their quarterback making a 5-yard out pass that they put in?
I mean, that's what it is. There's nothing. Iowa's as consistent as vanilla ice cream. That's just what it is.
Do you like vanilla ice cream?
Occasionally, but
occasionally.
Only when it's up against an ice cream that I absolutely despise.
Yes, I hear you. That's perfect. All right, the most interesting team in the Big Ten for my money is Illinois. Coming into the season, they're going to be preseason ranked in the top 15. What their coach's name left me? Bielema. Brett Bielema has this team finally. He's going into year 5 as the Illinois head coach, which is insane to think about. But got them kind of going in the right direction. And when Bielema gets his teams rolling, they have an identity to them. They're going to punch in the mouth. It's going to be a street fight, and they're going to bring it right to your front door for 4 straight quarters. Their schedule lines up. It's a tough schedule. Their first 3 games, Western Illinois, Duke, and Western Michigan, should be 3-0 in those games. Obviously, Duke's got a little juice to it, but not really. And then they go Indiana, USC, Purdue. We go to Ohio. They host Ohio State on October the 11th. That'll be a fun game if both teams are still relevant, or if Illinois is still relevant. Then they go out to Washington, host Rutgers, host Maryland, head to Madison to play Illinois, and then finish with a game against Northwestern. This Illinois group could be very interesting as the season progresses.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's Illinois. That kind of says it all. Could they be a good team? Yes. They, some of their best players though last year, I don't think were on the younger side, if I remember correctly. I think they were either redshirt seniors or people that were draft eligible that might have left.
Yeah, veteran guys.
So it'll be interesting to see if they've built 5 years means they've probably built the culture up enough that they could be good, but. I'm cautiously optimistic that they'll be a top 5 team that, who knows, depending on how their season goes, if their only losses to Ohio State and maybe one other team, I could see them sneaking into the playoff.
Man, it'd be really interesting, dude, because if they can get through, you beat USC and Indiana early, you're going to take care of Purdue, then Ohio State, you're probably losing to Ohio State. But then you probably should beat Washington. You should beat Rutgers. You should beat Maryland. You should beat Wisconsin, even though it's on the road, especially if you're in it, right? If you're contending at that point, then you can take care of Northwestern. And then, dude, do you find yourself on accident in the Big Ten championship game? You're 10-1 or 11-1 or whatever it might be. That's a real path that they could take.
Which would be the worst case scenario for them. If they had to play Ohio State again, at 11-1 and they lose again, that late in the year that could bump them out. Ideally, they lose 2 games early, one to Ohio State and one to a decent opponent, and then they ride an 8-game winning streak into this completely arbitrary committee that picks these 12 teams anyway. That could be their path in.
And you get hot at the end. You put up some style points. You beat Northwestern by 40 points. You beat Maryland by 30 points, right? And you can get some hype going behind it. You might be dead.
You might be an Ole Miss. You might be an Ole Miss. You might be an SMU.
Yeah, true. It's that might be the best path for them, because the way that schedule shakes out, man, you find yourself in the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State or Penn State or whomever. That'll be a tough task. All right, a couple teams left here. Michigan, obviously, last year didn't go the way they wanted it to, but they did end it on a fairly high note. They take down Ohio State. They also flies under the radar, beat Alabama in the bowl game. Obviously, bowl games are kind of nothing at this point in time, but they got some momentum going. They got a great recruiting class after getting Bryce Underwood. Some real excitement surrounding the team up north, man, and they are on a one-way. They got a mission to get back to playing good football after a really disappointing season last year for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they weigh these. The sanctions. I mean, Shamar Moore missing 3 games could be huge, could be terrible, but the other thing is we don't know what game he's missing from the NCAA. At least I didn't see anything. I don't know if they have chosen it, if they're letting Michigan choose. I don't know. But, I mean, they're a young team. They could be very good, but they're on the younger side. I think they have them ranked as like the 3rd best defense in the country. Like, I think Ohio State's 2. I don't even know who 1 even is. But, like, that's how some people are ranking them. Who knows? If they can have a defense out here that does like what Tennessee did for Nico last year, who knows what this Underwood kid can do? But if you can have a defense that carries you, keeps you within 3 scores at all times, then who knows? Who knows,
man? They have an interesting schedule. One of the big week 2 games is going to be Michigan and Oklahoma. They travel to Norman to take on the Hoosiers. That's going to have a lot of juice to it. And then their Big Ten schedule is kind of like up and down. They got Nebraska on there, and we're talking pretty highly on Nebraska here. That could be an interesting game for them. They host Wisconsin. They go out to USC. They host Washington. And then obviously they got the game at the end of the year, kind of sandwiching it all between, they have a little stretch there where they should go 4-0. Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Maryland. Man, dude, the size of the Big Ten, 18 teams, makes this thing really weird because that low group is bad. The bottom of the Big Ten is bad, man. And every team's got a handful of games that you could pencil in right now as big wins.
Yeah, true.
All right, Oregon, we're going out west. What do the Ducks do to replace Dylan Gabriel and their solid offensive attack that got thwarted in the Rose Bowl, but they had high hopes last year going into the playoffs? Does Dan Lanning get them back rolling here in the 2025 season?
I think they'll be good again. I think they'll be – I don't know if they'll be as good as they were last year. Dylan Gabriel was a very capable quarterback. We'll see who they bring in. I think – did they get a transfer to replace him? I don't even know.
No.
But, same thing. They lost some very big names to graduation in the draft. It'll be interesting to see how they reload there. Similar to us, how I describe it is they lost some big-time players to the draft and to, graduation. So it'll be interesting.
No doubt. The big game on their schedule, they head to Penn State on September the 27th. And good news for all Big Teners out there, that game is at 7:30 at night. No big noon kickoff.
Oh, that'll be the whiteout game. That'll be where those kids realize what playing at a school like that is. The fact that we don't have a night game against Texas is crazy, but
that game will be sick. That game's going to be bonkers, off the charts. End of September too, so you're hoping to get some crispy fall weather in State College, and that game will be nuts. Any other big games on their schedule doesn't look like it. They got a decent route through the Big Ten, and by decent I mean really good. They should actually run the table if they're anything worth a damn this season. So really fun. That whiteout game is going to be awesome. Now the last team that we want to talk about, I want to get your opinion on Penn State. We talked about them a little bit. We talked about Drew Aller a handful of times, being that he is the Cleveland kid, and my personal opinion is I want him to do good, but I want him to do good for all the other weeks of the season except for when they play Ohio State. Penn State's got they're kind of basically running the Ohio State formula from last year, where they bring back a handful of guys, some of their veteran cats, and are trying to roll this thing out again to get back into the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, they lose their offense, they lose their defense from last year. They got to find new people. I think it's going to take a while for this defense to learn the Jim Knowles, just like it took Ohio State a little while for the defense to learn the Jim Knowles system. I think that we know the Jim Knowles system better than Jim Knowles knows our offense. Yeah. And I think it'll be a great battle when we ended up playing him. But I mean, he's going to get booed out the gym when he comes. Ooh. But I don't know. I think they are always hyped up, but they always just seem to be not quite there. They remind me of like the Bills or the Ravens from the last few years in the NFL. Like unbelievable talent, top tier, blah, 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 and then they just fall short every time.
It's a really good comparison because they got the hype surrounding them every single year, and then when push comes to shove and it's the big game, they come up short. Now, question of the day for you: did you know Villanova had a football team?
I did know Villanova had a football team. Speaking of Bills, is it Benford or Benford? He's a Villanova.
Oh, I don't know the name exactly. Familiar with it.
Yeah. Their starting corner is a Villanova guy.
There we go.
I didn't know that very well, yes.
There we go. Villanova football. They played Penn State in week 3, so there you go. But Penn State obviously has the whiteout against Oregon. Then the big game for us, November the 1st in Columbus, probably at noon, against Ohio State. Should be a lot of fun. So just a fun little whip around here of what we're thinking for each of these teams. Obviously, more top level stuff, what these guys could be, what they couldn't be, and some fun stuff as we get this season started. So we skipped over the Golden Gophers, Kev, because they are our highlight team of the week. And we are going to, as we've done the last 4 or so weeks here, just kind of predicting a fun stat from each of Ohio State's games. We're going to continue this throughout the season, right? We got a bunch of shows, a bunch of content to get your way throughout the year, but we're going to continue this as the season rolls on. So tonight's show, we're talking over/under in Week 5, Ohio State versus Minnesota. Kev, it is your call to make tonight.
I'll take over under 245.5 yards that our defense gives up.
Oh, I like this. 245.5. 245.5 yards that the defense gives up. Man, this defense, dude, I'm interested in what it looks like, because with Matt Patricia bringing in the NFL field, the NFL style, obviously incredibly successful in the league, and using all of Ohio State's NFL guys, right? There's NFL guys everywhere. Using them on this defense is going to be a lot of fun. I went out of turn last week. You get to make the pick. Are you going over or under 245?
I'll take the under.
Taking the under? All right, I'm going over, baby. The Gophers go crazy. Who's their guy? They got a stud guy, a fun one. I can't remember his name off the top. He is going to play both ways. If I can find it.
Oh, that's a gimme.
It's got a cool name.
I know what you're talking about. We'll see how he.
Man, I can't get it. I can't get his name off the top of my head. But anyway, they should have maybe a little bit of juice to them. But shocker of I guess my last couple months is that relearning that PJ Fleck's been at Minnesota for almost 10 years now. He left Western Michigan in 2016, so this will be his 9th season as the Minnesota head coach. And it'll be it's crazy. Oh, there he is. Coy Perch is his name. Coy Perch. He plays offense, defense, and special teams. He wears number 3. And allegedly a stud. We're going to find out in week 5. So for me, for that week, I'm rooting for them to go over. Crazy offensive night for the Golden Gophers. So a little bit longer of a show tonight, a little bit more fun of a show tonight as we put a bow on the offseason here. So our content's going to change up on a weekly basis. Kevin and I will be with you 3 nights a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and we're going to dive more into X's and O's. Monday shows are going to be a spotlight on Ohio State's offense versus the opponent's defense. And then Wednesday shows are going to be defense versus the opponent's offense. And then our Friday shows will be more of a weekend preview. And then on Saturdays, we'll be filled with content here on the page, on the YouTube page, and on our written page too, where Kevin and I will go live pregame. We'll do a pregame preview show, and then postgame we'll do a reaction show. Sandwiched in between those is going to be all of the press conferences from coaches to players to everything. We'll be boots on the ground every single game, whether home or away, getting you all that content. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're checking us out on a regular basis. This content is going to continue to flow, and we can't do it without you. So hit that subscribe button. Head down to our site, si.com/college/Ohio State to check out all of our work. So, Kev, the offseason is over. Next time we're with you guys, it is going to be week number 1. Cannot wait for it. For my partner, Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight on the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI YouTube channel.